Thank you, Shahala, Tomarla, and each and every one of you. We will resume the class with the Ye Dharma mantra and Heart Sutra mantra. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Tesham Dathagato Hyavatat Tesham Chayo Nirodha Evam Vati Mahashramanaye Swaha. Meaning of the mantra. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of the causes as well as taught by the great seer. Next Heart Sutra mantra. Deyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swatyata Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhi Swaha. Okay, welcome back to the second session on Heart Sutra and Anavatapta Sutra, which is one verse from Anavatapta Sutra. So what we learned is that the first of all, we need to be very sure why we are attending this class or why we go to schools, why we take part in some programs, and why we are keen for let's say to stay away from COVID, and why, for example, let's say the mask. So there's always the reason there, and the reason we see that the one part is that we want to get away from the fears in any form, and number two, we want to embrace the maximum happiness. So this through a reality across the board of the humanity, not only human beings, even the animals, all the sentient beings. This is number one. Then number two is that once you convince of this, that how to get away from these miseries, not blindly, but it must be very rational and very practical and realistic. So for this, what we said is that we gave the three examples for us to choose which you want. Number one, wherever you are, wherever you go, the people people, the situation, they always, they say they harass, they always harass you. Number two, where you run away into the forest and then the people cannot harass you anymore, where you're cut off and you're freed from the harassment of the people, so you're calm. Number three, not only that people not harass you, they also want you, that they're so happy that you are there, and you feel so happy to be with them. So we have given three choices, and particularly for those people who are aware of who are aware of the Buddhist teachings from your early introduction, and you will get a very clear picture as to what these three represent. The first one representing the samsaric beings like us. So we have, whatever we do, somehow there's a problem. This is what we feel. One, and we don't want this. And number two, where you are away from the problems, where you have the peace, but you are not getting this incredibly beautiful joy of embracing others with love and affection. Number two, that is the arhats. Arhats meaning those beings who seek personal liberation, those who successfully achieve the personal liberation, that they're liberated, but they don't get this tremendous, incredibly profound joy of embracing others with love and affection. Number three, where you are not affected by others, and your happiness simply, say, expands to infinity. So we all chose the number three. If you chose number three, then what we need to do is that we have to follow, to see if our thinking resonates with what is presented there in Heart Sutra. So for that matter, no, again, it's not that, oh, if I choose number three, then my thing should tell you with the Heart Sutra. He said it. No. He said it. Let me see whether it holds true, whether it's true. So study Heart Sutra first. Studying Heart Sutra, we see the need for two things. One is the cognitive, the cognitive activation, to get rid of all the, say, misconceptions of the reality, to know the reality very closely to the ultimate. And number two, that your compassion expands. Two things should happen. Your compassion should expand. And there are some practices, for example, like the second one, where there's a tremendous emphasis on, say, cutting yourself away from other people, and that you are liberated, you are free. But then because there's no emphasis on compassion. Practice compassion, yes. If you look at the different traditions, we see that some traditions, there's no emphasis on compassion at all. Just talking about the philosophy, and go into deep meditation for yourself, and then say, whatever experience says, ultimate reality and so forth. You talk about ultimate reality, you don't know how to reach out to other beings. There's no technique, practice for one to embrace other beings. In other words, how to expand the circle of compassion. That is missing in many of the traditions, many of the practices. Just focus on compassion, ultimate reality, you miss the compassion part. Whereas for the third, if you want to be qualified as the third category, then not only that, you have the wisdom that you are not affected by others, you also have the compassion to reach out to others. So these two in unison, this makes the Mahayana teaching very unique and very precious. So with this in mind, let us see how the Heart Sutra is presented. And first, let me give you just an overview of how this Heart Sutra is presented. Is that some of you, I'm sure, okay, please raise your hands, those of you who already been to Rajgir, the place where that Heart Sutra was taught. Raise hands, those who already been there. Oh, you got. In fact, I oftentimes share with people that if you ever happen to be in India, one place where you must visit is, of course, Bodh Gaya, Varanasi, Rajgir, then the Kushinagar. And Rajgir is one thing where the Heart Sutra is taught, and you can feel, when you are there, you can just imagine yourself there. So what happens? First the background, and then the content matter of the Heart Sutra. Background. The background was that the Buddha presided over this congregation in Rajgir. Rajgir are referred to as the Vulture's Peak. The Vulture's Peak, the peak, which is referred to as the Vulture's Peak. And so the Buddha presided over the congregation, and on the two sides, Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion, and Shariputra, the Arhat. Two of them were there. And then the remaining monks, nuns, lay devotees, all were there. So this is the background. Then what happened was that the Buddha went into a deep samadhi to see what's the reality, to experience the ultimate reality. He just went into this samadhi. And when you become a Buddha meaning the fully awakened one, when you become a fully awakened one, what happens? What is unique thing? It's about your mind. That your mind becomes awakened, fully awakened. It's for this reason that the Buddha, one of the epithets of the Buddha is that the Buddha is referred to as the fully awakened being. So our mind is awakened. What do you mean by our mind being awakened? Our mind is awakened when you succeed in this, then you get access to the two realities simultaneously. You get direct access to the two realities. Ultimate reality, which the Buddha is now sitting in, the meditating upon, and a conventional reality where the world operates, the two things simultaneously. Whereas for us, the people, till you become enlightened, when you have access to the direct access to ultimate reality, you don't have direct access to the conventional reality. So how the world is operating. Whereas when you have direct access to the conventional reality, you don't have access to the ultimate reality. So this is the problem. Whereas when you become Buddha, when you become full awakened one, you have access. You have direct access to both. So then the Buddha went into this meditation. Meanwhile, because of the Buddha having access to the two truths directly, while being in the ultimate reality, simultaneously, he blessed Shariputra to ask question to Avalokiteshvara. So outwardly, for people, ordinary people like us, when you observe what the Buddha is doing, the Buddha is just absorbed into the meditation on emptiness. Whereas for the realized beings like Shariputra, Avalokiteshvara, they could sense that, okay, now the Buddha is blessing me to ask question, inspiring me to ask question to Avalokiteshvara. Okay. So with this, this is the background. With this background, to know the body of the Heart Sutra, to know the main meaning of the Heart Sutra, we need to know three things. One is, what is the question asked by Shariputra? Number two, what is the response given by Avalokiteshvara? Number three, what is the benefit that we accrue if we practice the wisdom as taught by Avalokiteshvara? We need to remember these 3 points. If you remember these 3 points, if you're aware of these 3 points as we recite Heart Sutra, then you have, let's say, serve the purpose of reflecting, studying, reflecting, and meditating on the body of the concept of Heart Sutra. Okay, so what is the question asked by Shariputra? The first one. What is the question asked by Shariputra? Shariputra turned towards first, they bowed down to the Buddha, and then turned towards the Avalokiteshvara and asked, how should the child of a lineage practice the professional wisdom? What do you mean by child of the lineage? What do you mean by professional wisdom? Child of the lineage. A lineage means, so I'm not too sure about the Israelis, but for the many of the other places like the Tibet, in the olden times, Tibet was all ruled by the kings, Tibetan kingdom, ruled by Tibetan kings. Likewise, China ruled by the Chinese kings. Likewise, India ruled by India then. There were so many kingdoms there. So it most almost like today, the British, again ruled by king, we had the queen. So we see that in those days, these were all ruled by the kings and queens. And the child of that king or the queen, child, is considered as very important. Why important? Because he or she is the lineage holder of the king, lineage holder of the queen. That becomes very important. And so we see that there's the lineage of the kings, lineage of the queens, and the lineage of in olden times, the lineage of the ministers. So likewise, that the lineage of the Buddhas. And of all these lineages, which is the most important lineage? Of course, the lineage of Buddha. Lineage means, say, the lineage of something. A lineage of something which can have benefit for yourself, benefit for your family members, benefit for your tribe, benefit for your kingdom, benefit for the world, as the object to which your benefit encompasses. As it is more expensive, the lineage is more important. And from this point of view, we can see that the lineage of the Buddha, this is the best of the lineage. And I'm not the lineage of the British Queen or British royalty, because of which there's no way I can become the queen or king of the Britain. But I can become the lineage holder of the Buddhas. Each one of us, each one of you can become the lineage holder of the best of the lineage. The lineage of the king, lineage of the Buddhas. Each one of us, we can become that. So how can I become the lineage holder of the holder of the lineage of the Buddhas? How can I become that? What do you mean by the lineage holder of the king? Somebody who's going to become a king later on. Likewise, somebody who's going to become a Buddha later on. So how does one determine that? Yes, the moment you say that, may I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, when it becomes very spontaneous, automatically, even this spirit will take you to attain Buddhahood. So that makes you to be the holder of the lineage of the Buddha, the best of the lineages that possibly exist in this universe. Each one of us, although you and I don't know whether some of you might have be lineage holder of the kings and queens, but for sure most of us are not. But never mind, we can all become the lineage holders of the Buddhas, the best of the lineage. So don't worry, even if you are not the lineage holder of the kings or queens, whatever, we can still be the lineage holder of the best of the lineages. That is the lineage of Buddhas. So let us make it a point that, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Say if the Buddha is there, yes, the Buddha's lineage, this is the best, and I can be a part of it. I can be one of the holders of the Buddha's lineage, which means that, never mind, even if I'm not lineage holder of I am not an aristocratic or so whatever, but I can be the best of the lineage holders. Okay, that's wonderful. So what is the best of lineage holders? Which means that you decide to become a Buddha, like the young prince, because he's going to become the king later on. He's treated as so important. Likewise, you are very important, because when you make the commitment, may I become Buddha for the benefit of sentient beings, you are the holder of the best of the lineages in this universe. You become very important a person in the world. Okay. So with this, okay, so may I become Buddha. So how should I become Buddha? The seed of the Buddhahood is within each one of us. Seed of the Buddhahood. It doesn't mean that seed of becoming Buddhist is within each one of us. This is not a connotation. It means the seed of perfection is within each one of us. Every one of us, each one of us, we have the seed of perfection. This state of perfection, when there is awakened fully, you are referred to as the awakened one, fully awakened one. And awakened one in Sanskrit, it is Buddha. So people may associate with this Buddhism. It has nothing to do with Buddhism. It simply means awakened one. We have to awaken the state of perfection. Okay, so how to awaken the state of perfection? If the state of perfection is there, why it is not seen? Because it is obscured by something. If the light is there, but if I don't see the light, it must be obscured by a vase. So you have to remove this vase in order for the light inside to be seen outside. So likewise, we have to remove this, they say the vase, the metal obscuration, so that the light inside, the seed of perfection inside manifests fully. Okay, so that makes sense. It makes sense. So what is that mental defilement? What is that mental defilement which obscures this beautiful light of the perfection inside us? Yes, when we look at it, we don't see anything beautiful inside. We look at anger, attachment, craving, jealousy, and so forth, all these laziness, covetousness, all these nasty things within our mind. Where is this seed of perfection? Never mind, it's not visible because something is obscured, something is blocked. Our job is to remove what blocks this. What is that thing? For that matter, we have to identify what is that thing which blocks us. So the thing is that, as I said earlier, one thing that we need to keep in mind is that the vase blocks this light. So you have to remove this vase which blocks this light. And within us, what is that? What is that thing within us, which is like the light blocks the light of the perfection, seed of perfection. Seed of perfection is of the nature of the wisdom. Seed of perfection is the nature of the compassion. Seed of perfection is the nature of the power. Whereas in our case, we are full of ignorance. So this ignorance blinds us, obscures this seed of perfection within us. Ignorance blinds us. And then the compassion, we have self-centered attitude. Self-centered attitude blinds us from having the compassion spreading towards others. We don't have the power, the weakness because of the narrowness of thinking, which blocks us from having the power to benefit all the beings. So with this in mind, we see that within us, in order to remove the mental defilements, we have to identify what the mental defilements are. One is ignorance, and one is the self-centered attitude, and the other one is the lack of power, the weakness of a mind. So for that matter, we see that, strangely enough, there's be self-centered attitude, all the afflictions, all the mental defilements, somehow they're connected with the ignorance, the stains of the ignorance, or the offshoots of the ignorance, or the stains of the ignorance. And if you can cut this ignorance and remove the stains of ignorance, then the mental defilements are all gone, and the light of the seed of perfection within us manifests fully. When the vase is broken, the light inside will shine forth in all 10 directions. Okay, so how to get rid of this, the ignorance and its related offshoots and the stains. How to get rid of this ignorance? So for that, we need to introduce the light of the wisdom. Light of the wisdom. What is this light of the wisdom? Then Avalokiteshvara responded by saying that the child of a lineage, in order to practice the light of the wisdom, we need to know what this light of the wisdom is. And then Avalokiteshvara went to explain what this light of wisdom in great detail. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. Emptiness not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. So then he went to explain all in great details. Okay. After explaining what the reality is, so that your wisdom can see that, the next point that we need to remember is what is the benefit if we practice as taught by Avalokiteshvara to see everything as a dream. Nothing really exists subjectively. Even the mind If the projected mind does not exist truly, there's nothing really, even the ultimate reality also does not exist ultimately. Everything is like a dream. Okay, so how do we know that? So for that, we have to read the Heart Sutra. Okay, we need to identify these 3 points. Once you know this, what's the benefit? What benefit do we accrue out of that? Is that you've wanted to work it up. So for example, tell me, when you are, say, when you are in deep, by the way, how many of you ever had a dream, quite, I would say, nightmare? A very scary dream in your life? Raise hands. At least once in your lifetime. At least once in your lifetime. Okay. Okay, good. In fact, almost all of us had this nightmare at least once. Okay. Let's say, okay, is there Ben? Okay, Ben. Ben, tell me, if you want to share with us, what kind of nightmare did you have? If you don't mind sharing with us, but no need to force yourself. Huh? Yes.
I cannot recall, Geshe, the scary nightmare that I remember right now, but I have had many in my life, for sure.
Okay, is there anybody who likes to share the nightmare? Any one incident of nightmare with us? Inbal, you like to share? Inbal, you like to share? No? Inbal, unmute. Unmute. Unmute.
Okay.
Good.
I have a
Many
nightmare
nightmares, I know.
that some Palestinians open the doors and start to shut in our house because we are living
Or
close
you
to
enter the shelter.
yeah, and not shelter. You with a gun, open the house and start to, you know.
Yes,
Because we are
yes,
living
yes.
next to Gaza Street, so.
Yes, yes, I could imagine that. Yeah. Okay. Shaharla? Shaharla, yes.
Yes. Well, it's a funny dream, but it happened actually a few days ago. I think it was this week. Usually I don't have these kind of dreams, but I saw many people, one of them I don't know, and each one of them has a ghost inside of him. And I tried to started to whistle. I didn't know that I started to make noises, so this ghost will disappear, will go away from these people, and this ghost started to come to me, and then Karen woke me up and said, "You make lots of noises." And I said, "Well, I was whistling from my dream, so I was whistling, and she didn't understand what happened to me. And then I said, I have to go back to the dream to continue fighting this ghost, but I was shivering."
Okay, okay, okay. Anyone else who wants to share your scary dream? Anyone else? Raise hand, raise hand, raise hand. Okay, so let's say that you have a very scary dream of a ghost. Let's say that, Shana, why are you scared? It was just a dream. Why were you scared? When I asked the question to Shahala, just imagine this, that this is a question which I'm asking you also, each one of you. And then imagine you had this dream of a ghost where you were so frightened. And I'm asking this question to you, and give the answer yourself and see if it makes sense later on when we conclude it. Okay, Shahala, why were you scared of this on the ghost? It was just a dream ghost. It's not a real ghost in the first place. Why were you scared? I asked the question, Shala, and each one of you, I'll try to give an answer mentally. Okay, Shala, tell me, why were you scared? It was just a dream ghost. It was not a real ghost. Shahala?
For me, it was real at the time of the dream. Actually, even like few seconds after the waking up, still I was, shaking. Very funny.
Okay. Okay. So let's say that I'm sure all of you agree with Shahala that for me it was true. It was real because I was in dream and I saw the dream as real when I was in dream. I saw the dream as real. So I did not see the dream as dream. I saw dream as real. Okay, how many agree with Shahala? Raise hands. So the fear came. Very good. Okay. The next, my question to you, and each one of you just mentally give the answer. Okay. Say, seeing the dream as real. It happened when? In the dream or outside the dream? Shala?
In the dream.
Seeing the dream as real happened in the dream. Seeing the dream as real is ignorance or the wisdom? It is ignorance. It's a misconception. So this misconception happens in the dream. When you wake up, the fear dissolves. It happened to me so many times. Although Shahala was still shivering for a few seconds after waking up. But say, generally speaking, when you wake up, then the fear dissolves. You wake up and you see the dream as dream. Dream is not real. Seeing the dream is wisdom. Seeing the dream as real is ignorance. So this ignorance happens in the dream. And when does this ignorance disappear? When you see the dream as dream. When do you have the dream as dream? When you wake up. So we have to wake up from the sleep of ignorance. When you wake up from the sleep of ignorance, what happens? All your fears of the dream stops. How many agree with me, sense? Very good. Now, the third part, which we have to remember as we study Heart Sutra, is what's the benefit of seeing everything like a dream? Dream is dream. Is that your fears will dissolve. All the Buddhas of the 3 times, Buddhas of the past, present, future, they all went through this path, went through this entrance of waking up from the sleep of ignorance, that they are freed from all the miseries. So likewise, each one of us, we can be freed from the fears of miseries by waking up from the sleep of ignorance. So how to wake up? For this matter, we have to study this more detail. So these 3 things are required. Okay, let us read the text now. Now it becomes easy for us. The background is already given, and you know 3 points to remember. Okay, the Heart Sutra, the title, even the title, it is referred to as Heart Sutra, heart, essence of all the perfections of the Wisdom Sutra. All the perfections of the Wisdom Sutra, the essence of this is referred to as the Heart Sutra. It's very short. Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, Arya Bhagavati Prasnaparamita Hridaya Sutra, Tibetan Sherab Nyingpo. I prostrate to the Arya Triple Gems. Triple Gems means Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Thus did I hear at one time, this part, thus did I hear at one time. This indicates that the Heart Sutra, this was originally an oral tradition, and later on compiled. So it says that thus did I hear, heard, and then you orally pass it down to the next person. The next person hears, again pass it down. This is how the tradition is disseminated. Thus did I hear at one time, which means that I'm not refining. I'm not the conjuring. What I'm doing is I'm simply replicating what I heard. I'm simply reproducing this. I'm not the exaggerating. I'm not superimposing. I'm not refining anything. I'm not cooking up stories. This is the meaning. Thus did I hear. It simply shows the authenticity of the following the text, which actually happened at the time of the Buddha, 2,500 years ago in Rajgir, vultures spake, with the Avalokiteshvara and Shariputra. Okay, thus did I hear at one time. The Buddha was dwelling on Master Vulture's mountain in Rajgriha, together with a great community of monks and a great community of bodhisattvas. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Profound illumination meaning emptiness, ultimate reality. Also at that time, the bodhisattva, so this is the situation of the Buddha. Buddha was just abiding in this, the meditative state of the ultimate reality. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in the concentration on the categories of phenomena called profound illumination. Also at that time, the Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara looked upon the very practice of the profound illumination of wisdom, and behold those five aggregates also as empty of inherent nature. Then what was Avalokiteshvara doing? Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion, he was also being very reflective, contemplative of the how everything is like a dream, everything is like empty, a dream. Okay, so that the five aggregates, and what are the five aggregates? We'll study a little later on. See everything like a dream. He was just contemplating in this. Then through the power of the Buddha, okay, now this is background. Now the 3 points. The first point is here. Then what's the first point? The question asked by Shariputra to Avalokiteshvara. Then through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara. Okay, so what is the question asked by Shariputra to Avalokiteshvara? How should any child of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom train? Here, some translators translate as, how should any son of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of profound perfection of wisdom? And I fix it. It should not be son, it should be the child. Because this is it incorporates both the male and the females, for the reason that the Tibetan word is pu. Pu does not mean only males. It's very, the generic label applicable to males and females both. So it is like we speak about the early men. Early men, and within early men there are two divisions: early men and early women. So likewise, the child, or Tibetan word pu, and pupo means male, pumo is female. Pu is in both. But many people who do not know the nuances of the Tibetan language, when they translate, they directly translate it as son. So this is not correct translation. And oftentimes, because of these translations, then some people may think that there's no room for the girls. It's just the males all the time, son, son, son. And in actuality, it's just the naivety of the translator. It has nothing to do with the original text. So it should be translated as a child. So I fixed it and we made it to child. Shariputra, okay. Then through the power of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara. How should any child of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound professional wisdom train? So here we need to know two things when pertaining to the first point. First point, the question asked by Shariputra to Avalokiteshvara. One, what is meant by child of the lineage? Number two, what is meant by the professional wisdom and how to train in this professional wisdom. Child of the lineage, let us remember this. In short and technically speaking, it is anybody who generates bodhicitta, to become Buddha. That is the child of the lineage. Anybody, whether you're Israeli, or whether you're Tibetan, or whether you are Indian, whether you are Japanese, or whether you're male, female, it doesn't matter. Anybody who wholeheartedly wishes to become Buddha meaning become fully awakened. Become fully awakened for the benefit of other beings, you are a child of the lineage, the best of the lineage, best of lineages. So this is one part. Now the wisdom, perfection wisdom. What is that wisdom? To see everything like a dream. The wisdom which helps you to remove the fear. What helps you to remove the fear of the dream? Is when you realize that dream is dream, that dream is empty of being real. So likewise, when you realize everything is like a dream, nothing is objectively real, that is the wisdom, perfection of wisdom, to see everything like a dream. Okay, this is number 2. Paragraph 3 reads, he said that, and the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara said this, said this to the Venerable Shariputra, any son of the lineage or any daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates as empty of inherent nature. Okay, so the number 2 is the response given by Avalokiteshvara to Shariputra. What is the response given there? So to know this response, we need to know several points. The main thing that we need to know is that everything is like a dream. Okay, all of us just try to pick something up from your table or from around you. Just pick something up and hold it in your hand and show that to me. Quick. Good. Okay. Now you, whatever you have picked up, look at it very closely and see how this object appears to you. Meaning, does it appear like a dream, or it appears like nothing to do with dream? It's real. So objectively there, how does it appear to you? This is my question. Okay, anybody? Raise hands. Niraji? Niraji, how does that object it appear to you?
Objectively real.
As object real, like a dream?
No, not like a dream.
Not like a dream. It's so solid there. Oh, this is so important. Let's say that how many of you have watched movie in a movie theater? Raise hands. Watched movie in a huge movie theater. Good. Now tell me, say that, imagine that you are watching a movie. So the movie is, of course, in front of you. And tell me, where is this movie coming from? Anybody? Okay, David Gordon, where is this movie coming from? In the movie theater, not on the laptop screen.
It's coming from the back, from the projector.
It comes from the projector. Where's the projector? Behind you. Okay, so you are watching the movie in the front, but the movie is not coming from the front. It's coming from behind. So the moment the projector stops, the movie in the front stops. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Very good. Okay, so the projector is none other than your own mind. Your mind is a projector, and it creates the movies minute by minute, second by second, millisecond by millisecond, movies being created there. So whatever you're experiencing, you see them as so real, not like a movie, but in actuality, they're all the projections by your own mind. The next question. Even this mind is also the projection of another mind. Even this mind is also a projection of another mind. Even the projection is also the projection. Even the emptiness is also the projection. In fact, there's nothing there as a consciousness or a mind which is not projected. Everything is projected by a mind. Okay, so when do you know that? In the dream or when it come out? When it come out, you know that, oh, everything in the dream was projected by my own mind. Say in the dream, you think that, oh, I'm not sleeping. The ghost is harassing me. My mind is very fresh. No, that is also a dream. That mind We see the ghost. Even that is also a dream. You think that you are not asleep. Actually, that was seeing that is not being asleep is also a dream, because actually you're in sleep. Okay, so the point is that when you wake up, what happens is that everything in the dream is seen as unreal. Okay, so the number three. Okay. Okay, so for this, the point is that, in other words, everything is like a dream. This is what we need to know as a part of number 2. Response given by Avalokiteshvara to say that, have no fear of the universe. Expand your love and affection towards all the beings. Just expand your circle of happiness, circle of joy, and have no fear. Be fearless, and expand your circle of expand your circle of happiness infinitely. What is your question? Okay, one time, one very privileged institution, I'm not going to mention the institution's name, requested me to be a chairperson for one speaker, a lecture by one very prominent author. And the author was, he authored many books. And this lecture was on one of his books. And at the end of the lecture, he said that finally, to have the expansive happiness, you should meet with the ultimate reality. We should meet with the ultimate reality, and you have the ultimate happiness. And he was emphasizing so much on this. Okay, so let's keep in mind that it is like saying that, okay, somebody is very unhappy and said, hey, don't be unhappy, be happy. Yes, I'm trying, but it doesn't happen, right? No, be happy. And the person becomes desperate. Please tell me how to be happy, right? No, you have to be happy. You just constantly tell other people, be happy, you should be happy. Without happiness, nothing will happen. You constantly say this, but when this question asks, how to be happy? No answer. Let's not be like that. So what we said is that we have to see everything like a dream. But how? This next question. How? This is important. If you cannot address this, then whatever we say, it becomes a talk. It's not a reality. So we should be able to be convinced yourself and let others be convinced. Otherwise, sometimes we just float in your own, creation of concepts, and then you are also not aware of what, that you are not aware of this, the reality. You think that you know the reality, but you don't. So you should be able to articulate this. You must be able to explain this. So how? This question, how? Okay, so for that matter, the first Avalokiteshvara, he went into great detail. And in fact, this is, in a way, this is very good that we have soon we're going to have this verse, the 4 lines. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form is also not other than emptiness, one part. And then also the Anavatapta Sutra, where it says, okay, sorry, yeah. Okay, I request our program coordinator, Ms. Tensi Rumala, to show this one verse. I got a translation and I redid the translation. Not because that translation is wrong, but the rigor is missing. So I redid the translation, and it's here. This is my rendition of the translation to give the rigor of the such matter. What is produced through condition is unproduced. They do not have the nature of production. What depends on conditions is said to be empty. Whosoever realizes emptiness is conscientious. Okay, so I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this verse from Anavatapta Sutra to explain how. To explain how to see everything is like a dream. That is very important. So before we go into this explanation, first we have to go back to the Heart Sutra. Okay, so there Avalokiteshvara is saying that everything is like a dream. It's not that there's one entity which is so important, like for example, ultimate reality. Ultimate reality is not like a dream. No, everything, including ultimate reality. If you have conception that there's something there which is ultimate, which is not like a dream, you have again fall prey to this deception of seeing something as objective real. You will not be freed. Okay, so Avalokiteshvara goes to explain that phenomena. Say, for example, look at yourself empirically. Empirically meaning, which you can experientially feel. Yes, I have this physical body. This is empirical reality. And I have this mind. The neuroscientists, some of the neuroscientists may not agree with me to say that I have a mind, because they will say it's just your brain. But this is a very important discussion. What is the relationship between the brain and the mind? Is everything about the mind is just a brain, or the brain and the mind is like the emergent property of the brain, or the mind is a very separate entity from the brain? All these things require a great deal of discussion. This is a very important point. Okay, this is my personal quest as well. Since I was age 20. One lady, American lady doctor, medical doctor, she gave a beautiful presentation on neuroscience to our institution, Buddhist Dialectics in Dharamsala, the first monastic institute that I joined. And my teacher, also the principal of the institute, assigned me to be the translator, because most of the monks, they do not speak English. And I just graduated from the school with the English as medium. And I tried my best to understand what the neuroscientist was explaining. And I was so fascinated by the talk that all what I think of the mind is what she reduced to a brain. As a young boy, I'd say, okay, language that I speak, Tibetan language, is that about the brain. Emotions that I have is all because of the amygdala. And all these perceptions taking place, sound, smell, taste, this is all because of the cortex. That's amazing. I was so fascinated. So where is the mind? If it is just everything is reduced to the brain, where is the mind? This young boy was very disturbed. And this disturbance, the disturbance, enormous, it shook the brain, this young boy's mind, to the extent that he started his own journey to explore whether or not there's a mind which is different from the brain. And it is still a journey. It is an amazing journey, a very profound journey, looking for the parallels, looking for the divergence. They're looking for the points of divergence and the points of parallel between the two traditions. This is an amazing journey. Okay, so the point is that everything's just the result of the projection of our own mind. So what do you mean by everything? What do you mean by everything? Do you mean to say that nothing exists because everything is projection by your mind? Do you mean to say that nothing exists? No. If you say nothing exists, you fall into nihilism. There's a point. You fall into nihilism. So for this matter, of course, Arya Avalokiteshvara is going to go into deep analysis, the deeper inquiry into how we should be able to explain or how to enact the harmony of the emptiness and the functionality of the world, where you don't contradict with the function of the world, while at the same time rejecting the objectivity of the objects. So this the what complementarity of the emptiness on the one hand, and the functionality of the world on the other hand. How these two complement each other, the complementarity of the two. This is a key. That is what Avalokiteshvara is going to explain a little later. So, but this, first of all, okay, which means that you're not saying that nothing exists. Yes, I'm not saying this. Everything exists. Everything exists. But nothing exists objectively. Nothing exists truly. Everything exists conventionally. Nothing is. Even emptiness, even the ultimate reality also exists conventionally. Nothing exists ultimately. Okay. Okay, which means that you accept everything to be existing. Yes. What do you mean by everything? This question. So look at yourself. Avalokiteshvara explores very gradually, starting from yourself. First, we see that there is a person known as I. Okay, this I, this person is a Tibetan. Why? Because the body is a Tibetan body. And there's this person is happy because the mind is happy. So this person, empirical self, something which we can experience. So this empirical self is constituted of the, let's say, the body, which makes this person as a male, a Tibetan, and so forth, and the mind, which makes the person as happy, unhappy, intelligent, not intelligent, and so forth. It's all determined by this mind. So besides these, we see that the self is nothing to be seen as there. If I take out this body, then the self is not the male, self is not a Tibetan. And if I take this mind, then we cannot describe the self as happy, not happy, intelligent, dull, compassionate, not compassionate. We cannot, when the mind is out, we cannot describe the self with these qualities. If this person does not have the compassion, quality of the compassion, then the person will not reach out to other people. If you don't reach out to other people, you don't feel this infinite ease. So you deprive yourself of the infinite ease. So when this mind is the compassion, when that's taken out, then you become a very cold person. Although your philosophy may be very great, very deep, but you become a very cold person, like an extremely learned professor, very sharp-tempered, angry, and uncompassionate. Maybe highly learned, but very uncompassionate, because you don't emphasize compassion. Whereas here, Avalokiteshvara was saying something very different. Yes, you see that that everything exists, good, bad. Others' happiness depends on your happiness. Your happiness depends on others' happiness. There's interdependency there. So others are very important. Take care of others, and your happiness taken care of. It's amazing. Your compassion grows. At the same time, nothing exists as independent real. Everything is coming from your mind, like a movie, the projection of a movie. Oh, then it is like a dream. I don't see that everything is like a dream. I don't really have to worry about the contents. The fear dissolves. Where compassion, the expanse and the fear dissolves. And finally, this is what we are seeking. Okay, so to know this well, Avalokiteshvara was explaining that everything exists. Let's not forget it. Do things exist? First answer should be yes. If you say no, things don't exist because everything's empty, you fall into nihilism. Let's not forget it, number one. So to really understand what emptiness is, we need to know these two questions. The first is, do things exist? Everything exists. Only if you're able to say everything does exist, you are entitled to go for this second question. Oh, everything exists. Yes, good, bad. If you do good, you have happiness. If you do bad, you have miseries. So the functionality world operates so infallibly there. One. Number two, only if you say yes to the first question, everything does exist. The second question is, how do things exist? Do they exist objectively or subjectively? If you say they exists objectively, this is when you fall into absolutism. Instead, if you say things exist subjectively, things are empty of objective reality, then you go into emptiness concept. This is very precious. Emptiness concept. Okay, 2 questions. Let me repeat it. 1, do things exist? Answer is, if the answer is no, you fall into nihilism. If the answer is yes, you are eligible to go for the second question. Well, second question, do things exist objectively? Answer is no. If you say yes, you fall into absolutism. If you say no, that is the concept of emptiness. Okay, let's not forget it. So with this, they say everything is empty of true existence. Yes. Well, remember everything. Begin from yourself. First, there's a self. I. In this world, believe it or not, which is the most important thing? For example, there are so many houses. Which house is the most important thing for you? Your house or the White House? Which is more important? For all of us, your house is more important, because the White House, something goes wrong, you don't care. Your house, something goes wrong, you start to worry, right? Your house is very important because my house, because I'm important. There's a self there. This undeniable fact. And some people, there's no self. It's just imputation. There's no self. And if you really think that there's no self, why do you have to worry about your bank deposit? Why do you have to worry about your promotion? Why do you have to worry about the COVID if there's no self? So first, this self. And if I ask you, say, there is a treatment for the COVID to make sure that you will never have the COVID. And treatment I'm going to give to one person first, and then the second person I'll be given after 1 year. And imagine that it's the peak of the COVID. So who is going to get the COVID vaccine? To you or your prime minister? If I ask this question to you, what is the answer? Be very honest. We all will say, me. Because the self is so important. Yes. Why prime minister important? Because you are important. Because I'm important, I need this nation. I say I need to live safely in this nation. For this nation, we need a president, prime minister, all these things. So I'm important. And let us be very realistic. Let us be very honest. Yes. So begin with the self. And then you go into the self. So what makes you get a sense of a self? A sense of a self. Because I have the body and the mind. Human body and the human mind. Okay. So, and the mind further broken down into 4. Further broken down to 4. So 4 plus the body, 5 aggregates. So here it says that he said that, and the Bodhisattva, he said that, and the Bodhisattva, Mahasattva, Aravalokiteshvara, said this to the Venerable Shariputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of the profound perfection of wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates as also empty of inherent nature. The 5 aggregates. So what are the 5 aggregates? So begin by looking at the self there. The 5 aggregates also meaning that not only the self is empty of inherent nature, but the 5 aggregates also. So the self is included. First the self, then the self is seen in the light of the 5 aggregates. Like the flower. Flower is seen in the light of, let's say, your body. Your body is seen in the light of, I think, about 7. If you are 70 kg, then if you are 70 kg, the weight, if you have 70 kg weight, then you have a 70 into 10 to the raise of 20 power, 10 to the raise of power 27, 10 to the raise of power 27, that the atoms, same 70 billion the atoms in a body. So this is That's it. Your body, you have a human body, you have these hands, your eyelashes, your eyes, tongue, teeth, body, all this. But it's just atoms. It's a bunch of atoms, your body. This is 70 into 10 raised to the power 27 number of atoms. This is what your body is constituted of. But when you look at it, you don't see its atoms. It looks like the nice, things like the hands, eyes, smiling face. You see all this. When you're angry, there's angry face. Atoms, you never see the angry atom. You never see the smiling atom. But when the atoms are put in one particular format, when you see the smile is coming out, angry face coming out. So these are all the projection. Besides these atoms, there's no angry face. There's no, say, smiling face. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Besides the atoms, there's no angry face. Even the face is made of, say, a bunch of atoms. And when you smile, I think your cheek, the two cheeks, they come out a little bit. It come out a little bit, and your mouth maybe spreads a little bit. This is what happens. So actually, a bunch of atoms is moving like this, right? And a bunch of atoms coming out like this. This is how you appear. The face appears as smiling. Besides this, there's nothing. There's a smiling. Not an atom smiling. That's for sure. But this is how our mind projects. Okay. So it says that even the 5 aggregates, aggregate of the form, the physical body, aggregate of the mind, which can be seen in the 4, aggregate of the mind. If we divide further, the mind in general is the consciousness, aggregate of the consciousness. Then the mind go into specifics. Mind go into specifics. Then we have the feeling. We talked before, discrimination. We talked before, and then we have the all the other mental functions put down in the one group. One group known as the composition factors, aggregate of the composition factors. 5 aggregates: aggregate of form, aggregate of feeling, aggregate of discrimination, aggregate of composition factors, and aggregate of consciousness. 5 aggregates. Okay, the 5 aggregates. And besides these 5 aggregates, there's nothing to be seen as Dorji, that's for sure. What you call as Dorji, what you see as Dorji is non-existent once you go into these 5 aggregates. So it says that beholding those 5 aggregates also as empty of inherent nature, meaning that besides these 5 aggregates, there's no person known as Dorji. Even the 5 aggregates, each one of them. So let's say that aggregate of form, let's say my hand. My hand, which is not bad now, which is not as bad today, but when I was 7 years old, I remember my hand looked so cute. Now it's not as cute. Yeah, it's already 55 years old hand. It's not as cute. When I was 7 years, it was glowing. The complexion was just amazingly beautiful. So now it is no more, but still it's a hand. You can see it as a hand. Even that is nothing but made of billions of atoms. And none of the atom is the hand. If you go into this analysis, we see that the hand dissolves. Hand is just coming from your mind. Besides the atoms, there's nothing there as hands. Okay. So it says, form is empty. Emptiness is form. Form is emptiness, not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. Okay. Till this point, is anybody having question? Till this point. Okay, don't bring anything unrelated. So what have we discussed thus far? This first session and the second session till now. If you have any question before we move to the next part, which is very important part, form is empty, emptiness form. This is so important. Any question related to what I discussed thus far? Any questions? Okay, if you have, raise hands. Those who are in camera, without camera, you can just put up your, what is that? Virtual hands. Okay, you just put your virtual hand up, and then we will ask you to. Okay, if not, don't worry. If not, then we will continue. Okay. The next part is that so this self. Okay, by the way, I ask you, what is in my hand? You will say there's a flower there. And how do you know that there's a flower in my hand? Anybody, raise hands. Okay, are they Tomer?
There is a flower in your hand because I can see you holding a flower.
Holding it, which means that you trust your eye consciousness. How many agree with Tomer? Raise hands. Yes, you have a flower there. I can see that. Raise hands. Okay, which means you all trust your eyes. For example, you're not looking at me. You're not looking at me. Imagine that you're not looking at me, and there's person A, and the person A always tells lies. Always tells lies. And then I ask you, what is in my hand? And you're not looking at me. And person A, you ask person A, hey, what is Geshe holding in his hand? A person A says that he's holding COVID-19, or he's holding chocolate in his hand, right? Chocolate in his hand. Okay. And you know that he tells lies. Would you believe in what he said? No, I will not believe in what he said. Raise hands. Why don't you believe Mr. A? Why don't you believe him? Why don't you believe him? Because he tells lies, which means that you trust your eyes. Which means that you, from your point of view, your eyes are not telling lies. You trust your eyes. How many trust your eyes? Raise hands. Okay. Okay. In the dream, if I ask you, what is there in my hand? You will say a flower. And I ask you, how do you know there's a flower in my hand? You will say that I can see that. Tomer, what makes you think that there's a flower in my hand? You will say, I can see that. You are going to give the same answer in the dream also. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Okay. So just as you cannot trust your dream eyes, how can you trust the eyes of now? How? This is my question. This is a very serious question, simply because, so finally the answer is that I trust my eyes, that's it. In the dream also you trust your eyes. In the dream I said, if I say it's wrong, you will fight with me. You will say that no, I know that I'm seeing the flower in your hand. Only when you wake up, you realize that it's wrong. Okay. So in other words, do you agree with me that you are trusting your perception? Yes, raise hands. Okay, this is a very important point. And your perception, okay, let's say that, okay, not to offend you, how many of you, when you take a photograph, you take a photograph from distance, not too close? Raise hands, or a particular position. Right? Why? Okay, so why? Answer is just, do you agree with me that in this particular position, then some errors with my things can be blocked? And from distance, in my case, I'm 55, right? Because there is a crease coming. So from distance, crease don't appear. I look so youthful. Yeah, I look so youthful from distance. People say that, oh, Geshe, you look so fit and fun. You look so young. Yes, if you come close, you will see me different. So which means that there are two different perceptions. Do you agree with me? Two different perceptions. Perception which sees the object when the subject object they're closer, and the perception taking place when the subject object is more distant. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Okay. Okay. So say in a loose sense, there are two perceptions towards the same object. With the same object, there are two perceptions. One perception which is very close to the object, one perception from the distance. And say if you want to know, if you become let's say if you become a CEO of a company, and if you need somebody who is very, very reliable person, a very reliable person as your immediate the next in the position. And there's a person there, person came for the interview. And this person, person was around your place for about like 1 week. And there's another person who you know, who knows this person, Mr. A, since childhood. One person knows Mr. A since childhood for 20 years, and another person who knows Mr. A for just 1 week. And if you are to get the information, correct information about Mr. A, who will you approach? The person, childhood friend of childhood, say not friend, person who knows Mr. A since childhood for 20 years, or person who knows Mr. A just for 1 week? Just tell me, anyone. Ruth, which of the two person will you ask? Ruth, unmute Ruth. Or anyone? Inbal, you like this answer?
The one who knows him 20 years.
Agree with Inbal with hands. Okay. Leora Pesa, right? Why the person with 20 years? Even the other person who knows him for 1 week, he knows him. Why you prefer the other person? Why?
Because he has a bigger perspective. He knows him better.
He knows the person better. How many agree with Leora? Raise hands. Wonderful. So we see that with the same object, there can be two different perceptions. Two different perceptions. Oh, that's true. I agree. Raise hands. Very good. Two different perceptions. So one perception is closer, which knows the person more closely, which knows the person better. And the other, which knows the person less. So one which knows the person better is known as ultimate analysis. One which knows the person, they say the shallow or broadly, not deeply, is known as the conventional analysis. The analysis, there are two. One is conventional analysis and the other one is ultimate analysis too. So what the object is determined by you. There's no option to you other than to rely on your perception. How many agree with me, in a sense? With respect to you about the object or that person, how God finally you said, oh, he's very good. Again, it's about your perception. Oh, okay. One time, what happened was that somebody is desperately looking for a job, and then job in a particular institution. And I know the director of the institution, and I sent a very strong recommendation. I recommended this person very strongly because I know the person well. And the director, he told his junior that, okay, I'm going to pick this person for this job. And the junior asked him, sir, how are you deciding it? What makes you to think that he is the right person? Oh, Geshe Dorji Damdul, he gave me a very strong recommendation of this person. And just imagine what this person told. This person knows this person, the junior of the director. What he told the director was that, Hey. So Geshe Dorji Damdul, he will say that everyone is nice. Don't trust what he said. He said everybody is nice, right? Don't trust him. This is what he said. The junior told the director that don't trust what Dorji Damdul said. Okay, so you have two different perceptions. One from very close perception, and the other one is from distance. One from the close is known as ultimate, because what you know better, that is the ultimate as compared to the other one. Other one known as conventional analysis. One is the ultimate analysis. So the same object can be viewed by two different minds. Now, this is very important. This is very important. Okay. Can you imagine that okay, just stretch out your hand, right or left hand, whichever. Just stretch out your hand and look at it. 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 What do you see? You see a bunch of atoms, or you see a hand? You see a hand. You see a hand. Okay. Okay. Look at it again and make sure that my perception is accurate. It's really there is a hand. Good. Now imagine that if you look at the same object through electron microscope, do you think that you're going to see your hand, or you're going to see a bunch of atoms? You're just going to see a bunch of atoms. How many of you agree with Mary's hands? Okay. Which of the two perceptions is correct? The one which sees a bunch of atoms, no hands, or the one which sees the atoms, but not a bunch of atoms? Which of the two is correct? Anybody raise hands? Anyone raise hands? Anyone? Very quick to save your time. Okay. Ariela.
I'm just
Which of
saying
the two is?
I think they're both. It depends,
Both are correct.
on your
Both are
perception.
correct. How many of you agree with Ariela? Raise hands. Both are correct. Okay, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Say, when you're thirsty, you'll grab a juice. When you're thirsty, you'll grab a juice, right? You grab a juice. Oh, this is juice. You'll not grab a stone. But in the eyes of the electron microscope, both are same. There's no juice, there's no stone. How many agree with Mira's hands? No juice, bunch of atoms. No stone, bunch of atoms. This perception is also correct, according to all of you. And this is juice, this atom, there's a difference. This is also correct. If you say that both are correct, but the emotional reaction is very different. When you see a juice, you feel like drinking it. When you see a bunch of atoms, you don't feel like drinking it. There is a emotion, there's a difference in the emotional reaction. Okay. When you see a bunch of atoms, no juice, your attachment, your anger towards the juice dissolves. Whereas you see a juice, and if you no issue with, if you are so fond of sweet, this juice, you just feel like your mouth waters. But if you dislike sweets because of your, body weight, or because of the, diabetic problem, you say a juice, no, right? So these emotions arise. So the perception determines your emotions. Your emotions decide whether you're a happy or unhappy person. So we see that whether you fear or no fear, whether you have happiness or no happiness, is all determined by your perception. Oh, that's interesting. Now I can see the relationship between my perception and my state of my mind. Happy, unhappy, fear, no fear. Okay, how many of you agree? At least it makes some sense. Raise hands. This is very important. Now tell me, say, when you look at this this object through electron microscope, you see a bunch of atoms. You don't see juice there. No juice. When you look at through your naked eyes, you see juice. You don't see atoms. And you said both perceptions are correct, but the two different perceptions are taking place. One says there is a juice, other says there's no juice. And you said both perceptions are correct. So how to resolve this? One, from distance. When do you see this juice? From distance. When do you see this bunch of atoms, no juice? From close inspection, electron microscope. So the electron microscope perception, that was the electron microscope, we call it ultimate analysis. Perception, where you see the juice, we call it conventional analysis. It's just two different perceptions. It's just two different perceptions. My question to you. Oh yeah, my question to you. If I remove the two perceptions, what is this object? If I ask you to remove the two perceptions, what is this object? Anyone raise hands? Anyone who likes to try? Raise hands, raise hands. Ariela?
It's a drink. It doesn't matter if it's juice or water. It's a drink.
Even the drink is with respect to the conventional analysis, because when you see the ultimate analysis, even the drink is not there. Drink is liquid, and liquid is on the level of the molecule. You have gone beyond the molecule. You've gone into the atomic level. On the atomic level, drink doesn't make any sense. Drink operates on the molecule level, because the water molecule, H2O. Minimum, there should be 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen to say there is the liquid there. The moment it goes into atoms, liquid dissolves, liquid concept dissolves. So drink does not exist. Anyone? Okay, Doron.
Okay, if there is no perception, there's no object.
Okay, there's no object there. Okay, it's very scary then. If your perception is removed, then the world is just empty, right? If all the Israelis, if all the people in Israel, you are taken out of Israel, then the whole Israel dissolves, disappears, right? Then what happens to the globe? Will it become smaller or it will remain the same? It remains the same. Then what happens to that chunk of the land, narrow land down, known as Israel today? What is that? What will happen to that part if it disappears? Okay, this is a very serious question. What if your perception is both the conventional analysis, ultimate analysis? If you remove both, what happens to the object? What is this object? This is a very serious question, and this is similar to these questions asked. Whether or not the moon exists when nobody looks at it, related to the quantum physics. Related to quantum physics, this question was asked. When nobody looks at it, whether or not the moon exists when nobody looks at it. Okay, so when two perceptions are removed, what is this object? This is a very serious question. Okay, Doron said there's no object. So no object is left. There's no object. No object should be there. And even no object should be seen by conventional analysis. So I said remove the conventional analysis. Even no object cannot be seen. Okay, this is a very serious question. So from this, what we come to realize is that, okay, if everything is like a yes, what is that? From the object, there's nothing to be identified as a juice. And a juice is just what comes to my perception, to my conventional analysis as a juice. For example, let's say a forest. From distance, you see all these, the trees, individual trees, they're all just mixed up. Oh, there's a forest there, Amazon forest. But if you go into the forest, you don't see the forest. You see the individual trees. Individual trees, they are not touching each other. They are not mixed with each other like this. They're all separately existent. But from with distance, we see them as well. They're all just like a solid mass. Okay. Which perception is true? Again, we see that there's an obvious contradiction there. One is from distance and one is from close. This is what the reality is. So from this, we get a feeling that, okay. Another thing that I may share with you is, let's say that when you watch, how many have seen rainbows in your life? Raise hands. Okay, let's say that you are seeing a rainbow hitting a house, or hitting the meadow, and a young child, age 3 or 4, is with you, and a child asks you to take the child to the place where the rainbow hits. How many are going to take this child to that place? Raise hands. If you do take the child to that place, you're also a small child. So why you are not going? Why you are not going to take the child there? Because the child thinks. Why you are not going to take the child there, and why the child wants to go there? Because the child thinks that the rainbow is actually there, hitting the meadow, and you closer you go there, you can play with it. Whereas you, as elder, you know that closer you go there, rainbow is not findable. It's just a matter of how your mind perceives it from a particular angle, depending on the water vapors serving as a prism, and the light from the sun falling on it from a particular direction. Only with these factors intact to your eyes, a rainbow is perceived. That's it. Okay. So the point is that ultimate analysis and conventional analysis. So what is seen by the conventional analysis is known as conventional reality. What is seen by ultimate analysis is known as ultimate reality. So with this in mind, if you look at this same thing from distance, we see this is juice, and our mind seeing this is juice. What is this mind? Ultimate analysis or conventional analysis? How many agree with me to say that this is ultimate analysis? Raise hands. No one. How many agree with me that it is ultimate conventional analysis? Raise hands. Very good. Okay. So because that this is seen as a juice by the conventional analysis, this is a conventional truth. Juice is conventional truth. Whereas when you look at it through electron microscope, where's the juice? Juice is not there. Juice not there ultimately, because ultimate analysis is seeing if the juice exists ultimately from the object ultimately. So ultimately, in the eyes of ultimate analysis, the juice is not there. Simply because the juice is not there in the eyes of ultimate analysis doesn't mean that juice does not exist. Juice exists in the eyes of the conventional analysis, so that suffices existing. Let's not forget it. Although the juice does not exist in the eyes of the ultimate analysis, but because it exists in the eyes of the conventional analysis, it does exist. My question to you is, okay, how many of you are 20 plus? Raise your hands. Okay, include myself. How many of you are the younger than 100 years old? Raise hands. Okay, just tell me, what makes you to feel that you're younger than 100 years old? Because your body is younger than 100 years old. Do you agree? Raise hands. Okay, now my question to you. Your body is made of atoms. How many agree with me? Raise hands. And these atoms are all the atoms of your body, they are 15 billion years old. Raise hands. None of the atom is younger than 100 years old. Raise hands. So your overall body is not younger than 100 years old. Raise hands. So you think that you are younger than 100 years old. But in actuality, what makes you think that you ain't got 100 years? My body is not that old. My body is just 55 years old. That's not true. Your body is made of atoms, and atoms are all 15 billion years old. So what makes you think that your body is, they're less than 100 years old? Again, it's just a mere perception taking place through your conventional analysis. That's it. If you analyze deeper, you can discover, more complicated things. And the good thing is that your body, atoms of your body never dies. And we fear death, but the atoms of the body never dies. And your mind never dies. But conventionally, people die. Yes, conventionally, yes. Now he is this number of age. And now he's dying, she's dying, and so forth. This all hold true. Yes, this is known as the infallible dependent origination, infallible functionality of the world. We cannot deny this fact also. But this fact, if you go closer to its object, you will never find them. You find them even only with respect to a perception. Perception is purely subjective. So therefore, this is subjective reality. This is conventional reality. You're getting it? Conventional reality. And if you think about it, it's quite scary though, to see that there's nothing really there from the object. Okay. And some of you may think that you are man, some of you may think that you are female. But when you subject yourself to ultimate analysis, that you are seen as just, they say, 60 into 10 to the raised to power 27 number of atoms. And none of the atoms male, none of the atoms female. Where's the male, where's the female? The concept of female, non-female dissolves is quite scary. It's quite scary. Okay. Through this analysis, if you do feel a fear, it is a good indication that you're getting somewhere, you're understanding something, that from the object that's not really there. Whereas if you, oh yeah, yes, that's true. But then no feelings come to you, like fear and so forth, which means that it's purely intellectual. Experientially, you are not getting anything. Whereas the fear comes to you, and sometimes goosebumps can come to you. Tickling sensation come to you. Cold waves can flow through your body. And sometimes extremely serene feeling can come to you. Very, very peaceful, tranquil feeling can come to you from within. When these things happen, you are very meritorious. You are in a proper track. You're in proper track. And when you see that, even the ultimate reality is also empty of true reality. When you see that, then the fear and these reactions, bodily reactions, they're even more profound. And one warning that I may give you is that but this warning is only for 1 out of 1 million people. 1 out of 1 million people. If the fear is so acute that you can bear it, stop this meditation, and you must consult somebody who is well exposed with emptiness concept for the last many years, and who actually practices the wisdom of emptiness. You must consult such teachers. In case if you have acutely unbearable the fear coming to you, otherwise if there's just a tinge of fear coming to you, don't worry, you can continue with this practice. Okay. So here, now the next line is form is empty, emptiness is form. Okay. So what we said is that, let's say this object, what we call as a flower. There's of the two groups, one group who likes flower, another group who does not really like flower. So one who likes flower, I ask you to look at it through naked eyes. One who doesn't like this a flower, like the flower at all. I asked them to look at it through, let's say, the ultimate analysis or the electron microscope. And I asked the group A, which means who likes the flower, what is this? What is this? You will say, this is a flower. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Good. Now I ask the same question to the people who do not really like flower, and then who look at this object through electron microscope or the ultimate analysis. They see that there's no flower. So where's the flower? They say, no flower. So what is this? No flower. How many agree with me? Raise hands. That these people, if you look at through electron microscope, they will see the no flower there. Raise hands. Good. Now, do you agree with me? This is very important. Form is emptiness. Form is empty, or the flower is empty. What is seen by group A? What is seen by group A as flower is seen as empty of flower by group B. How many agree with me? Raise hands. Form is empty. Form is empty. Flower is empty, which means the flower seen by the conventional analysis is seen as empty by the ultimate analysis. You get it? This meaning of form is empty. Next, emptiness is form. What is seen by the ultimate analysis as no flower, empty of flower, is what is seen as flower by the conventional analysis. Emptiness is form. How many agree with me? Raise hands. How many got it? Very good. Okay, so because that the first one, what is seen by the conventional analysis as a form is seen as empty of form by the ultimate analysis. So the emphasis on the what is seen by the conventional ultimate analysis is the ultimate truth, because what we said is that object seen by the ultimate analysis is known as ultimate truth. So form is empty. This is talking about the ultimate truth, because this is how the form is seen by the ultimate analysis. So form is empty, that is the ultimate truth. Other one, emptiness is a form. What is seen as emptiness by the ultimate analysis is seen by the conventional analysis as a form. So that form, that is the conventional truth, because this is what is found by the conventional analysis. So second line is talking about the conventional truth. The first line is talking about the ultimate truth. Okay, third and fourth line. Emptiness is not other than form. Fourth line. Form is also not other than emptiness. Okay, now do you agree with me that group A who said that there's a form there, flower there, group B who says there's no flower there. So these two are talking about the same object with respect to their own perception. Do you agree with me? That the two people, they're talking of the same object with respect to their own perception. So I asked in the group A, where's the flower? It's here, correct, not correct? Correct. I asked group B, where's the emptiness of flower? It's here. I pointed to the same object for the two reference, for the reference of the two labels, form and emptiness. I pointed to the same object. So what is seen by the conventional analysis as a flower is not different from what is seen by the ultimate analysis as the emptiness of flower. It's the same object. So emptiness is not different from the flower seen by the conventional analysis. Emptiness is not different from the flower. Likewise, flower is also not different from the emptiness. Flower seen by conventional analysis is not different from the emptiness seen by the ultimate analysis. It's the same object. How many you got it? Raise hands. In other words, the two truths are the same entity with two different labels. The two truths are the same entity with two different labels, which means these two are the same entity with two different isolates. This is a technical term, and I'm sure you have many questions about this. Oh, suddenly he uses the jargon, entities and isolates. So the two things, they are the same entity, the flower and the emptiness of flower. These two are the same thing, same entity, but different isolates with different labels. Okay, and some of you may be more wondering, what do you mean by isolate? Okay, I will explain this here very quickly. Let's say that, okay, this is flower. If I ask group A, who employs conventional analysis with respect to the flower, what it says, they will say this is a flower. Is this empty of flower? They will say no. So they make this distinction. They make the distinction that this flower and this not emptiness of flower. And whereas I ask group B, what is this? Is this flower? They say no, this is emptiness of flower. Is it flower? They'll say no. Again, they make the distinction that this is not flower, this is emptiness of flower. But entity-wise, it's the same thing. What group A is talking about the flower, what group B is talking about the emptiness of flower, is the same object. But two of them are saying that no, this was not same. So not same is with respect to how they see. Same is with respect to the object. Object is the entity. Entity-wise is the same, but how they see, that is known as the, say, the convention or the perception. So this perception isolates the two things. These perceptions, the two perceptions, they isolate the flower as different from the emptiness of flower. And the perception of emptiness of flower isolate the emptiness of flower from the flower. So these two are two different isolates and the same entity. Okay, so this is the meaning of form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form is also not other than emptiness. Okay, today we'll stop here. Okay, one or two if you have. One or two questions if you have. Raise your hand, or you can raise your virtual hand up. Virtual hand. Okay, the Tomer.
Yes, thank you, Gashela. Can we have, is there other, so we have ultimate truth and conventional truth, but we also have something, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so let's say I see a snake. So I look at a snake with the electron microscope, I see electrons, atoms. I go back, I see the snake. I go more far, I see a rope. So this is not conventional truth, right? This is something else.
Okay, this is a good question. Thank you. So what Tomer is asking is that even what you see from distance, there are two things. Say from distance, you see snake, and you even go further, or it is a little dark in the evening, you may see a rope. So, seeing the snake as a rope, this is not a conventional truth. This is very good. So, what we do is that our mind, generally speaking, our mind is of two kinds: valid mind and non-valid mind. Valid mind and non-valid mind. Seeing the flower is a flower is a valid mind. Seeing flower is a chocolate is a non-valid mind. Two things. Now, because the non-valid mind, they are totally irrelevant. They deceive us. So keep them aside. What we trust, what we should trust is what we call as the valid mind. Within the valid mind, we see that there are two. One we see things very closely, known as ultimate analysis. One we see things from distance, which is conventional analysis. So we see that valid and non-valid. So keeping aside the non-valid mind, in other words, mistaken, distorted minds. Keeping aside the erroneous minds, we divide the valid mind into two groups. So what we're talking about here is all the valid minds. Okay, more questions? Raise hands. Okay, no hands coming up. Okay, if you have no question, then we'll stop here. If you have questions, you can put in the chat box as well. Okay, so no question?
No.
Anthony, yes, Anthony G.
Yeah, Geshe, this whole thing about ultimate and conventional, and
yes,
it is on the screen of awareness, isn't that correct?
Okay, so even the screen is also empty of true existence.
Yes, yes, yes. The screen you can equate to the space which you spoke about earlier.
Say it again.
Screen you can equate with space which you spoke about earlier, much earlier.
No, this is what I'm saying. Even the space is also in more.
Yes.
When you go into more nuances, even the space is also empty of true existence.
Yes, yes. And the individual is also.
Screen is the metaphor for the object, not for the space. The screen is metaphor for the object, and the projector is a metaphor for the subject, your mind.
Screen is a metaphor. What I feel, screen is a metaphor for awareness.
No, screen is a metaphor for but it depends on the individual. For example, say if I were to, let's say if I'm an ophthalmologist, then I'll say that the screen is the metaphor to the retina. On the retina, all these reflections are, because I'm explaining how the eyes operate. So whereas explaining about the emptiness of objectivity, the screen is the metaphor for the object, and the projector is the metaphor for the subject. Whereas if you want to explain some other concepts, then you can relate the screen to something else and the projector to something else. That's up to the individual how you explain what concept you want to convey. So we are trying to convey here the concept of emptiness of objectivity. Anthony, is it fine? Anthony G? Okay, unmute. Anthony G, we cannot hear you.
Okay, it's fine, because you are trying to communicate a particular concept. It's fine.
Okay, Anthony G. Okay, more questions? If not, we'll stop here with the end dedication prayer. Do it. Okay, let us dedicate the marriage that's scattered, that all the wars in the world stop and the COVID subsides completely, and all in the hospital, they recover, and that everybody resorts to the ultimate causes of happiness, and everybody can resolve all the causes of the miseries. Causes of miseries, the revolving around self-grasping, ignorance, self-centered attitude, and the insanity, the loss of the sense of the wisdom. So let us pray that everybody gains wisdom, everybody gains the universal compassion to embrace whole world as one family. And let us pray that His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the true embodiment of compassion, if he is to be taken seriously, then all the world leaders can learn from him how to create the world a better, the family, better world, a peaceful world. Let's pray for his long life. And let's pray that all the learning centers of the bodhicitta, the unconditional love, the most beautiful mind of bodhicitta, unconditional love, to embrace all the beings, and the most fearless mind of the wisdom of emptiness, thrive in the minds of all demon sentient beings. And also let's pray that all the volunteers of DFI, like Shahala, Tomanla, Davidla, and the earlier directors, the directors also like Leoral and so forth, may all these people who contributed to the thriving of the DFI, Dhamma Friends of Israel, may they have good health. May they continue to serve the Dhamma with so much joy and growth within themselves of the spirituality. With this mind, let us dedicate the merits thus gathered. I dedicate the merits thus gathered towards the realization of the deeds and prayers of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas of 3 times, and to the upholding of the doctrine of scripture and insight. May I in all lives, through the force of this merit, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle, and accomplish all the stages of the path, renunciation, bodhicitta, perfectly in the 2 stages. From my 2 collections, vast space that I've amassed from working with affidavits practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief leading Buddha for all those whose minds wisdom eyes blinded by ignorance. Deyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhisvatyata Om Gati Gati Paragati Parasam Gati Bodhisvaha. Okay, thank you. See you tomorrow.
Thank you very much, Geshe-la, for this profound teaching. And thank you all participants. We'll meet here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Israel time, 11:30 India time. I remind you that the whole teaching are recorded to YouTube, and you can also practice generosity using the link that I just sent. You can also find the donation details in the course page on the Dharma Friends website. Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.